All right, Mets fans, welcome back to the channel. Winter meetings have concluded, and the Tarik Skubal trade sweepstakes are becoming clearer and clearer. We are getting into the latest report. Are the New York Mets really in play? And we've got some good news and some bad news surrounding this very topic. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. As always, if you enjoy this content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and check out all the latest content in the description down below, and comment your thoughts and opinions. Do you think David Stearns is going to go out there with the state of this roster that it's currently in and go out there and give top prospect value in return for Tarik Skubal over to the Detroit Tigers? And we are talking about the latest report from Jorge Castillo, a Mets and Yankees reporter that works for ESPN, and what he was hearing in the winter meeting surrounding the Tigers and Skubal. Per Jorge Castillo, a Tarik Skubal trade is viewed as highly likely. He goes on to say that the Tigers' president of baseball operations, when he was having a sit-down interview on MLB Network, said that there are no untouchables, none at any level in that Tigers organization. And he could have been hinting at Skubal, knowing that potential suitors were listening in on what he was saying. And the Tigers also apparently know that re-signing Skubal to the deal that he's going to want next offseason, especially him being a Boras client, is viewed as highly unlikely. So this is the prime opportunity for them this offseason to get the most value in return. Now, this is where we have to shift our focus. I said the good news was that a trade of Skubal is likely. They're not going to hold on to him, is the league-wide perception. Now, the bad news comes in here. The Dodgers are going to be heavy players and maybe even the favorites, as crazy as it sounds, to land Skubal this offseason as well. And this is where we have to shift our focus to understanding maybe a Mets versus Padres dynamic that might go on here. Now, I have no confidence that David Stearns will give up the necessary prospect capital for a rental player. Whether myself or anybody else that talks Mets or is even a Mets fan agrees with that, because Tarik Skubal, back-to-back Cy Young, those types of pitchers do not come around often, especially being a lefty. And we have a lot of Dodgers reporters and a lot of other podcasters that were at the winter meetings that cover the Dodgers, basically saying that there were talks between the Tigers and the Dodgers on a preliminary level, and that they got word that the Tigers are asking for a Juan Soto-esque package in the trade that sent Soto from Washington over to San Diego back in 2022. And if you don't remember what that package was comprised of, going back to the Washington Nationals, in exchange for Soto, it was 4 of the Padres' top 5 prospects: C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, James Wood, and Robert Hassel, I believe, is the 4th one of that top 5 that went to the Nationals. That is a major haul. We also know ESPN came out with the most recent farm system rankings around the entire league. Good news, bad news here. Good news, the Mets were ranked number 1. We know names comprised of Jet Williams, Jonah Tong, Noel McLean, Carson Bench, so on and so forth. It's a very deep farm system. The bad news here is that given the Dodgers and where they're at, their prospect and their farm system rankings were right behind the New York Mets per ESPN, ranked at number 2. So the Mets have the capital, the prospect capital, to go ahead and make this type of trade happen, but the Dodgers also do as well. And these two rosters, especially with the recent news of the Dodgers landing Edwin Diaz to go in the back end of their very deep bullpen, are in a world of a better position to go ahead and make the very big effort that it's going to require in getting Skubal. And if they do, first of all, that's absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea how the rest of this league is just kind of bowing down and letting them do this. That is a very easy three-peat for them on its way. It would have to be catastrophic for something to happen in 2026 where they don't win the World Series, now acquiring Edwin Diaz in that 3-year deal, taking him away from the Mets, and also going out there and splurging in a trade for Skubal. And this is where I think the New York Mets and the rest of the National League, for that matter, are understanding of the gravity of the situation that is happening before the CBA negotiations. I really do think that we are heading down this path where Skubal to the Dodgers might be inevitable, because the Dodgers also understand the CBA is coming up, and this is really, without any sort of limitations, their last chance to go out there and continue to add on to their super team to get as many World Series as possible before maybe there's a common ground understanding of how to level the playing field between the rest of the league and them, because they are doing something that the world of baseball has never seen before. And that's where I think the New York Mets and David Stearns understand that they have no chance. As crappy as that sounds, this is the New York market we're talking about, right? As large, maybe even a little bit larger, supposed to be, than LA. But there's a clear understanding that they are not going to be able to beat the Dodgers. We can say, oh, once the season comes, 2026 gets here, anything can happen. The Mets are not beating the Dodgers. And I'll be the first one to tell you, and I have no problems telling you, I'm a Mets fan. I will watch 2026, and I will have full understanding that no matter how well they do, the Dodgers will also be there in the end, and there's no way the Mets are getting past the Dodgers. And so there might not be as big of an effort for teams around the league to even attempt to give up their farm for a guy like Skubal, knowing that he's probably going to go back on the open market being a Boras client. And then it is fair game for anyone to make a deal with him. Or so we think. Because I really do think the CBA has everything to do with this Skubal trade. Will Skubal want to sign an extension before those CBA negotiations and get his money in case that there are limitations on how much he can sign for, given more payroll and roster constraints that teams will have to endure? And that is what teams have to be thinking about right now when they are entering a bidding war prospect-wise for Skubal against the Dodgers, is the opportunity to be the first one to negotiate a contract with Skubal, given the unique circumstance that the baseball world is faced with. Is that enough justification to splurge on Skubal or not? And you can make the argument either way, because the name Skubal, you will get great production in 2026. But if you're not going to be putting out the best roster that you possibly can, if you're the New York Mets after losing Diaz, after losing Pete, and who knows what the plan is on both sides of the ball moving forward for the rest of the offseason, why even waste the prospect capital at this point? I'm the first one, and Rob was also on the same page of, if you are going for it in 2026, you make this deal. But if you are beating around the bush to Mets fans, if you're David Stearns and you are retooling, which is just another word basically for resetting some of the payroll hits and resetting this roster, which is kind of in the middle of rebuilding, then don't even waste our time and don't deplete this farm system, and stick to your 2 to 3 year plan if that's the case. So, Mets fans, let me know what you think. The baseball world is in a lot of trouble if the Dodgers land Skubal, but unfortunately, the Dodgers have set themselves up in prime position, both prospect-wise and Major League roster-wise, to make this move happen and be well on their way to a three-peat. So I appreciate you all. I thought this was very interesting. I'll see you all in a future video, see how this plays out, and we will see if and when Skubal is on the move and who his next team will be. Peace.